sharing with you in this video how to stop believing in fear and create faster as a result. Because the truth is that what most people do is they're almost getting hypnotized by their own fear and by their own anxiety. Their own concerns and worries are making it so that they're losing their sense of self in all of the challenges that are happening in their life. And so this is a huge problem, because what's happening is that this literally lowers your creative capacity. It lowers your ability to create, to learn, to improve, and to grow and to transform. And then so in this video, we're going to be sharing with you how to not do this, how to not be hypnotized by your own fears, and how to do the opposite, so to speak, of simply taking action anyway towards the thing that you actually care about. And then so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to actually understand this and how to apply this is to have an understanding that fear should not become a part of your identity, a part of your identity. Because when something happens that makes you fearful or makes you scared or makes you worried, oftentimes what we do is we become the negative emotion. We become the problem, we become the issue, rather than having a feeling of anxiety, a feeling of worry that's just simply happening, and then we decide to not act into and then act towards the thing that we prefer instead. What can begin to happen is that we again identify with the problem, we identify with the emotion, we create a whole identity around it, and now we've of course lost our sense of self. We've lost who we truly are. And if you're losing yourself in your fears, you're quite literally not going to be able to get into a different reality, to shift into a different timeline, so to speak, to shift into a different version of yourself, because you're going to be continually recreating yourself into a similar version over and over and over, never making that transformation, never having that shift occur. And so what's stopping you from making this shift occur? Really, it's losing yourself in the problem, identification with the problem. Have an understanding that when you feel fearful, it doesn't mean that you have to become the fear. You don't have to become the worry and then become the anxiety and then become the issue. You can experience fear. You can have a feeling of weakness. You can have a feeling of anxiety. Doesn't mean you have to act into it though. Doesn't mean it has to become a part of your identity or that you have to listen to it at all whatsoever. And then so the second thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of a really powerful thing that you can do is to use that fear to take action. This is really powerful because now what you're doing is you're reprogramming your own self to take your anxieties as yet another reason to take action towards what it is that you actually care about in your life and what it is that you actually want to do. And this is what's going to help you build that knowing and that true confidence that comes from not just internally having faith in something greater than your ego, but even a grounded physical confidence that comes from just massive amounts of volume and massive amounts of action on a daily and consistent basis over an extremely long period of time. And then if you do that every single time you sort of feel fear or feel anxiety, what's going to start to happen is that you're going to just stop believing in the fear. So here's the thing that I want you to take away from this video. If you take one thing away from this video, what I want you to take away is that believing in fear is a choice to do so. So no more after this video. There's no going back. Are you going to be able to believe in fear and then believe that you can be a victim doing it? Because no, you can't be a victim anymore because you're choosing to do so. It's a choice to believe in fear. See, we can feel fear. There's nothing wrong with feeling a trigger. Where does this trigger even come from? Why is it happening? Let's dissect it. Let's look into it. Sure, if you want to. But before dissecting it, also accept that it is a part of reality, whether you understand it or not. So if it's a part of your reality, whether you understand it or not, the best thing that we can do is to take it and then to transmute it and then to turn it into something better, in my personal opinion, and then to see that we can use our fears as a catalyst towards a greater vision of the future, towards something greater than who you really are. And that's greater than who you think you are, of the past or whatever the case might be. And that's how you're going to begin to really create your most ideal version and who you prefer to be in your life. And then so when we can, again, use our fears to take action, that's what's going to allow oftentimes the transformation to actually occur in your life. And then so the final thing that I want to share with you in this video is really to have an awareness and an understanding that oftentimes your thoughts and your emotions can be telling you the opposite of your goals completely. Completely the opposite. So your thoughts and your feelings and your intuitions, so to speak, not to say your true intuition will always guide you right. But if you're talking about the false intuition and the ego, pretending to be your intuition, what's going to begin to happen is that you might have feelings telling you that you shouldn't take action, that you shouldn't do the thing that you wanted. But you got to understand that oftentimes, again, how you feel and how you're thinking is going to go against the thing that you want it to be. So you have to just act against it and move based on decision and intention rather than feeling or thought. That's something a little bit deeper that we're going to have to start to look at in our life if we want to start to shift to a higher level, to a higher timeline of being the person that we truly want to be, that aligns with our soul, that aligns with our spirit, that aligns with who we truly, again, actually want to be in our life. So really, I want you to notice that when you make a decision to become something different, I want you to, of course, notice that, of course, the patterns of who you used to be are probably going to come up, and you're probably going to feel resistance, and you're probably going to have some past triggers and past wounds come up to the surface, you know? And you can logically dissect it if you want. You can understand it if you want, but in my personal opinion, understanding it is oftentimes not going to help you to take more action and then to become the opposite of it. If you want to truly transcend it, of course, you can, maybe understanding it is a part of that. Maybe looking at it is a part of that. Maybe understanding the past is a big part of that. But then eventually, what you're going to have to do to really move forward and change into who you actually want to be is to take action regardless of the feeling. And then to move forward away from the feeling. Again, to accept it, to embrace it, to love it, of course, but then, like, again, eventually you have to move on from the pain of the past and then become something different and say, how long are we going to stay attached to this thing that happened to us a long time ago, or something that, you know, is making us feel down, but it's already happened a long time ago? It's like we need to start to move on to who we prefer to be, who we actually want to be, and then from there, that's what's gonna, when you make that choice to be who you want to be, that's what's going to bring up all the negative emotions and then the issues and then the traumas and the triggers. And that's your opportunity, if you see it as such, to not believe in it. See, you're going to see it as an opportunity if you're aware enough to have your intention in mind. But if you forget your intention, you forget who you are, all those problems are no longer opportunities, and they're opportunities. You see it as an opportunity to be a victim. And we're trying to avoid this at all costs, is to see that negative situations and triggers and issues are opportunities to be a victim. But, you know, on the contrary, to see that these negative issues are opportunities for us to rise above them and then to take action towards the thing that we actually want to be anyway, simply because we've already made that decision, and then to follow through on who we have already decided to actually be in our life.